Hey guys, it's Maddie, and I read three of the most popular thrillers of the year, and this is what I think of them, so let's just get right on into it. The first book I read was The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and this follows a woman named Jess. She lives in London, and she's kind of going through some stuff, so she wants to kind of like escape from her job, so she hits up her brother named Ben, and he lives in this very nice apartment building in Paris. And she just calls him and say, hey, I'm coming. And he's like, what the heck? Like, you didn't give me a warning or anything? Like, sure, come, whatever. But he's kind of like a little miffed about it. But out of nowhere on the phone call, he hangs up. Like, he sounds very startled. And after that, just the line cuts and she's like, what the heck happened? So she shows up to the apartment the next day, and obviously he has disappeared. And she's like, what the heck? She's kind of like wondering about the neighbors, like, did they see anything? Did they really know him? Like, what do they know about him? And that's kind of like where this book takes off, if just her trying to like figure out what the heck happened to him, what was his relationship like with the neighbors. And that's pretty much it, honestly. This book was very forgettable, and I just didn't like, I had such high hopes for this book because I liked The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Like, it was giving me, The Guest List gave me all those Agatha Christie vibes I like. But this book was just so boring, and I don't know, I felt like the author was just trying to kind of do a little bit of Rosemary's Baby, and I'm just like, apartment building with neighbors, like, what do they have connection to the victim? Like, I don't even know. Like, it's just, I don't know, it was just so boring, and the drama was just kind of eye-rolling, and the main character, like, she wasn't that bad. She was pretty, like, decent enough, but I think even the name, The Paris Apartment, I didn't feel like any of this was, like, very Paris-like. I don't know, the only Paris thing in the freaking book was, like, cafes and croissants and just people speaking French, which I felt like could have taken place in Canada or literally anywhere else. Like, it did not feel like Paris. So I don't know, I was just really disappointed in that, and I just ended up giving this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was just really forgettable. I'm glad I freaking checked this book out, because I would not want to own this book even if I saw it at a thrift shop. I mean, that's the only time I'll ever buy thrillers, is if I see them at a thrift shop. But this one, I would just pass and be like, no, because it was really disappointing. So that's kind of how I felt about that book. I read the Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and this book follows a young woman named Shay. She runs her own true crime blog called The Book of Cold Cases, where she goes over a lot of unsolved crime. And she lives in Oregon, where a very kind of notorious woman named Beth Greer lives, and she was accused of murdering two men in the 70s, and she was acquitted for it. And she kind of runs into Shay, and Shay recognizes her obviously from her blog, and she's like, hey, do you want to do an interview and just talk about what happened? And she's like, sure. She invites her over to her house, and kind of weird stuff starts happening there. And kind of the book kind of just goes over like the two timelines of what was Beth's life like during that whole time, and just what did she do, or when the two men were murdered, and just Shay trying to uncover, like, did Beth actually do it? Was it someone else? Like, what really happened? And Shay also has gone through like some trauma, like in her childhood. She was like almost abducted, and there was just a lot of stuff going on. But it's kind of her just like trying to come to terms, and also just trying to figure out the truth of what happened to Beth and like the two men. So I really enjoyed this book. I think Simone St. James does a phenomenal job of doing, dual timelines, because I love the 70s timeline, because I think her other book was during the 80s in The Sundown Motel, but this was like the late 70s. So I just really enjoyed reading that time. I just wish more books would kind of go through the 70s, because not everyone says like the 80s or whatnot, but like I wish more people talked about like the 70s, because I feel like when Simone St. James, like when she writes about the 70s, like I felt like it was that time. Like she did a very good job of balancing the timelines, and I really enjoy like just, the mention of true crime blogs and all that stuff, because I find that stuff really interesting. So I really enjoyed all the characters. I like Beth. I like the younger Beth that we see, because I just thought she was a really fascinating character, and I really like Shay too. I just thought she was a very strong character. I wish I could see more of this type of character in thrillers and mysteries. And I have to say, because with Simone St. James' work, you're gonna get some paranormal elements into her work, but I have to say, she really, okay, she's like one of the few authors, I feel like, for me, that can balance a mystery with paranormal elements in it, and I just loved it. It was phenomenal to me, and I ended up giving this book like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really great job. I want to read more of her work. I just feel like she's, like, her writing, I feel like, is definitely for me. I really enjoy it. And I also realized my voice is sounding a little weird. I have allergies right now, so just don't mind my weird voice, but I really wanted to make a video, so let's just keep going. So the other book I read was The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and did he redeem himself in my eyes? Let's just talk about it. So this book follows a young woman named Casey. She's a recent widow, and she lives in Vermont. She has a family home on a lake. She is trying to, like, be sober. She's like a really, like, just full-blown alcoholic, and she lives across the lake from this other couple, this very glamorous couple. One of them, the man, is in tech, the other woman is a supermodel, and one day she saves the woman from drowning, and kind of weird stuff starts happening afterwards. She's kind of like wondering, like, is their marriage all that great? Because one day the woman disappears, and she's kind of just trying to figure out, like, okay, what the heck happened? Like, and obviously while this is all happening, she's kind of just watching them and just watching how, like, they live and stuff like that before, like, the woman disappears, and just kind of trying to figure out, like, what the heck happened. So that's kind of where the book takes off from there, is her trying to figure out what happened to, the woman across the lake. Did her husband kill her or something? So that's just pretty much where the book takes off. And this book had some paranormal elements to it, and I was not happy at all with it. I just thought, like, I can't even say specifics because that will be spoiling it, but I just did not enjoy it at all. I think Riley Sager could have done without the paranormal elements. Honestly, I think if he took that out, I'd have thrown him a bone and gave him like a 4 out of 5 star. I'm being very generous, honestly, with that, because I ended up giving this book like a 3 out of 5 star. I feel like I've been giving him so many 2.5 out of 5 stars or 2 stars. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a 3, because this book wasn't as bad as Home Before Dark, I feel like, which is a very unpopular opinion, because I feel like a lot of people, this book had a lot of mixed reviews, and I feel like Home Before Dark had a lot of like 4 or 5 star reviews, but this book is definitely the love it or hate it. And I have to say, at least this character, she had like her own reasons for making dumb decisions, meaning she was pretty drunk, and I mean, you don't make smart decisions when you're like that. So at least I can say, like, hey, she was hammered or something. Like, she's not gonna make the brightest choices. But I mean, the other character over here in Home Before Dark, she was like full on willing to go through that, and I'm just like, girl, like. So I mean, I don't know, like, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't mean to be like that, but just come on, like, at least this character was like, okay. And then she ended up making some okay decisions, very few and far between, but I mean, it wasn't as bad, because like I said, I just was like, okay, well, she's like that. So it's pretty sad. I wish more characters give me at least somewhat smart decisions, but we need a story, I guess. But this also, I would say, had some like Rear Window vibes because of the voyeurism and just with the binoculars, because literally there was a line in this book that straight up said, like, I feel like Jimmy Stewart, like, or something to that effect of, oh yeah, I'm like Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window. And I'm like, is that good? Like, you want to be staring at neighbors or something? Like, I don't know. I mean, even though she was trying to figure out what the heck happened, like, it was just, I feel very conflicted with this character, because, like, I didn't hate her, but she wasn't a favorite either. She was just pretty, like, okay, I'll tolerate it for some extent, but that's about it, I have to say, I ended up giving this a 3 out of 5. It sounds like I hated the book. I didn't actually hate it as much as I was disappointed in the other books, because I think with this book, I kind of went into it with like very low expectations, and I came out like still disappointed, but like somewhat surprised that I didn't dislike this book as much as Lock Every Door or Home Before Dark. Like, I mean, what a surprise. So I know that Riley Sager came out with another book, and I mean, I probably will read that one too. I think I just hope for his next one that his, references like Lock Every Door with Rosemary's Baby, Home Before Dark and the Amityville Horror, or The House Across the Lake and Rear Window. I just hope he is not so direct with his inspirations. I just hope he kind of just makes it more into his own. I mean, even though Final Girls is kind of like an homage to like slasher films and all that stuff, that whole Final Girl trope and whatnot, but I mean, I haven't read that book, so I don't know. I mean, we'll see when I read it, but at least it's not so directly, okay, I can point out which movie that's from or what book you're talking about, like, that you're getting inspired from. Like, I just hope he's not so direct with those, inspirations. Like, just try to make it a little bit more of his own, I would really appreciate that. But I don't know, I mean, when I read I think the summary to the other book, I thought it was really interesting. I just hope I actually like it when I check it out, because I think I will read it. Knowing me, it's like I'm just wanting to like a Riley Sager book, because the only book I ever liked from him is The Last Time I Lied. That was the only book, and I think it's because it takes place in the woods, and I think this is why I probably gave it another star, because it takes place in the woods. Like, I have a bias with like horror and woods. Like, I really like those like two combinations, so I don't know. I just hope I really enjoy his other book, but I think I'm gonna make another video too. So I know this video is like all over the place, but I really wanted to post something because I know it's been over a year since I posted, but I really hope to, like I said, just post more videos. And I honestly feel like this has been a really good reading year. Like, I actually read like good books like that I actually really enjoyed. So and I have a lot of like hopes for my fall read, so I'll probably make a video talking about what I want to read for the fall and do some more reviews. So we'll see how it goes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys have a very fantastic day, and until next time, adieu.